Hi guys, it's the ex-church girl. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to speak a little bit more about domestic violence. I am pulling up this on my iPad, some more information. And of course, we all understand, or if you're not aware, that also men go through periods of domestic violence also. So this is not just a one-sided conversation. Men, if you are experiencing domestic violence, you can also call the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Now, October is actually the month that people target for this. They say this is a National Domestic Violence Month. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's distracting right now. And they say that, but to me, with so many cases of domestic violence going on, people really need to make it it's really become a national epidemic now because there's so many cases of it every day. And people are like, I think the government is still in the fog about domestic violence. They're still acting like it doesn't exist. They're acting like it's a problem that they can gloss over, that it's not necessary to have this conversation. It's very necessary to have this conversation because we really need to understand the importance of this conversation. We need to understand that people are being murdered, or I don't know if sorry, cancel that word. People are being taken out every day. You know, YouTube is so sensitive about words. People are being taken out, losing their lives every day over these situations. And unfortunately, I don't even think when I was in those situations that I didn't understand how fast they can go from nothing going on to darn near 100 in less than 10 seconds. Like that person could literally snap. And when you experience it, you really have to understand the dynamic behind it. Like it's so much stress behind being in those type of situations. It's so much emotion behind it. And when you come out of them, you really don't understand what you put yourself through. But your body will understand. Your body will react because your blood pressure will be high. You're angry and you're not sure why you're so angry all the time because you dealt with those DV situations. So, and again, I want to speak more about it because it is a topic near and dear to my heart. I don't gloss over it. I'll be spending a lot of time on it. And just life issues on this channel, period. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below because that's what I really want to discuss. And today, of course, when you go to the site, you get the phone number. It's 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 7233. Just type the SAFE into your phone, which turns out to be 7233. It's 1-800-799-SAFE. This is so important for young women to know. Young ladies, you don't realize that when you're in a domestic violence situation, if a man pushes you or if a woman pushes you guys, if they yell at you, if they scream at you, that's emotional mistreatment. Now, I'll be saying that to indicate what DV is because, you know, again, YouTube is sensitive to these words and sometimes they will block your content based on what words you put into your videos. And I just want you all to know that there is a way out, but people don't understand even when you go through counseling for these situations, later on in life, you will see that whenever you're triggered by these situations, you will practically go into PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, where you start to relive those past events. And that's the downside of going through these DV situations because you're not aware of it. But again, your blood pressure goes up, your heart rate goes up, you start to have bad headaches, you can't sleep, you start to overeat or you undereat, or you're all over the place emotionally. Those are the side effects of DV. And we really have to get down to the nitty gritty of this. Like this stuff is serious. Like people don't get it. And again, I want you to identify it. And I'm going to read some of the things here. And this is all on their website. And again, I'm reading for people who have either a language barrier or are unable to read everything for themselves. And the Spirit just told me to start reading from the website because there are a lot of people who want the information who can't read. And again, another young lady lost her life a few days ago. This lady went to the cops. She went to the law. It became so bad. Like she knew she was going to die. And she told her family that she would not rest in peace when she left here. And that's sad. Like you don't have peace in life and then you don't have it in death. Come on, people. What? That's something wrong with that picture. There's something wrong with that. And it was just, and the man did it. He shot her in front of her 3 children, which was horrific. Like, every situation is, I think the more you hear about these situations, the heart-wrenching, the more heart-wrenching they get. If you're an empath, if you're a person who cares about other people, or if you've been through these situations, you know how dangerous they can get. Like, and the sad part is that, and this is in no way to blame or shame this young lady, may she rest in peace. Please have peace in death, because that man, the way he took you out, young lady, she was only 30 years old, and he decided to end her life because she had, he beat her up on Facebook, and then she posted it or talked about it, and he still came back. And yeah, the courts failed her. That's what I'm saying. The laws have got to change. How do we change these laws? How do we make these laws get on the books? When they're a first offender, they get charged and put away so they don't have to put somebody else's daughter or sister or niece or mother in harm's way. Her ex had actually been one of those people who had beat up somebody else before. He had a history of it. Like, ladies, we cannot change men. Men, we cannot change. You cannot change women. People have to want to change. And if they haven't done the work, they haven't changed. They have not changed. Again, you have to do the work to change. You have to go through counseling. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to do so many things that, you just can't say you're okay. You have to actually do the work, and they have to prove that they've done the work. Even then, your antennas should always be up on your head. Like, no, I'm not sure if this person is right. And anytime they show you a red flag, you're under no obligation to stick around and try to explain to them why you're leaving. Just leave, okay? It's for your own safety. My God. And the crazy part is that those people, when they do DV, they disrupt your mindset, your peace. Like, people don't understand how toxic those relationships are. They're very, very toxic. They're dangerous. They're deadly. Like, there's nothing good about those relationships at all. But let's understand relationship emotional mistreatment. We're all affected by the issue of DV. Everybody is. Because you're going to know a friend who knows a friend who knows a friend who knows a cousin who knows an auntie who knows a nephew that has been through this situation. And to understand emotional relationship mistreatment, we must recognize that it's more than just being beat up, physical violence. Ending the harm and stigma of DV requires an understanding of the behaviors that define it, as well as examples of healthy relationships. And see, I think that's part of the issue. A lot of us have not been exposed to healthy relationships. We think that a man punching us, choking us, yelling at us indicates love. Ladies and gentlemen, it does not indicate love at all. It's actually the opposite. That is not love. But to a lot of people, these situations become normal for us because that's what we're used to. We're used to being in relationships where we were taught that if somebody hits you, they love you. Hitting somebody is not love. And our parents taught us that they lied to us. That is not love. That does not indicate love. It only indicates that you want to control. When you sit down and talk to your kids, you get so much more out from them than if you take your fist and slam them into their face. That's not love, people. That is not true love. That's a form of control. But when you're in those situations growing up in them where, we got the belt put on us, getting the belt put on you and a shoe upside your head are two different things, right? That's two different things. Putting a switch on a person's leg for a second, a hot second, while you feel that sting, that's not mistreatment. That's showing that, but nowadays it's considered mistreatment because, you can't hit your kids, blah, blah, blah. And I agree with that now because I know the power of talking to your kids is way more powerful to talk to them than to hit them, actually. But people don't get that. Because old school people grew up with it. Our parents did it. Their parents did it. So we carry on that generational curse, I call it. But yes, you have to understand what a healthy relationship is. A healthy relationship doesn't involve putting hands on anybody at all, okay? And then they talk about their advocates are available by phone 24/7 and live chats also to discuss the situation and help you determine if your relationship might be emotional mistreatment. How do we define it? DV, dating mistreatment or relationship mistreatment, is a pattern of behaviors used by one partner to maintain power and control over another partner in an intimate relationship. DV doesn't discriminate. People of all ages, races, genders, sexualities, religions, education levels, and economic statuses can be a victim or perpetrator. See, I thought this was a poor person's disease, which is not true at all. I also knew a lady who was going through this with her husband who was making six figures. So it's not a low socioeconomic problem. It's everybody's problem. It affects everybody. And that includes behaviors that physically harm, intimidate, manipulate, or control a partner, or otherwise force them to behave in ways they don't want to. So, and I was looking at the Gabby Petito story. I think I'm saying her name right. The young lady Gabby that was murdered by her bipolar boyfriend in Florida. That was such a sad situation. She's, again, another person who cried out for help. See, that's the thing, people. They're not able to help everybody. And I hate to say it, but when you call 911, all they're going to tell you is has that person put hands on you? Has that person harmed you? Has that person threatened you? It's like a series of questions they ask to say that you haven't been harmed. Why do we have to get to the point where we're harmed in order to get help? That's crazy. You have to be almost murdered or murdered. When you're out of here, it's too late. That doesn't even make sense. They would ask you, well, who's harming you? Who is it? Have you had a relationship with this person? Those are irrelevant questions. The question is, are you going to send me some help, some real help? And I'm so tired of seeing these stories. Like, this lady got out of the car. They knew her boyfriend had hit her. The red marks was on her face. She was a Caucasian young lady. And he proceeded they interviewed her. She was crying. She was upset, visibly upset. But that's another thing. People in uniforms don't recognize the signs of mistreatment. And it's not a slight at them either. It's just they're not being trained these things. They're not being trained to recognize the signs. They're not being trained how to spot it, how to diffuse a situation. Now, and she explained her way out of it. She was like, oh, I hit him first. It doesn't matter. He still should not have punched you to the point where you have big red marks on your face. Like, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It was unacceptable for her to hit him, and it was even more unacceptable for him to lose control. And he showed over and over again how he was out of control. It was just one little thing after another, knocking the chips off the table at the restaurant, rushing the waitress, like little stuff people overlook. That's the thing, people. Stop overlooking these little things that these folks do, because they sooner or later turn into big things, and they turn into you having, my God, like we don't see it. Of course, when you're in it, you don't see it. You don't see the little stuff that this person does. And then later on, it turns into something bigger. Like it just spirals. It doesn't stop. It keeps growing like a tornado. It picks up speed. Oh my God. Yeah, but they try to control. And if you feel some type of way with a person, that's your body telling you, this ain't it. Babe, move on. This ain't it, hon. Get out of here. Get to stepping. Your body is trying to tell you, move on. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right for you. That person may be perfect for somebody else, but if they mistreating you, they ain't for you. They're not on your team. They're not a team player. They're just on a roster. You need to cut them from your team. Yeah, they want to, they want to force their ways in. They want to, they include violence, threats, emotional mistreatment, financial control. Like they just, and then it says multiple forms of emotional mistreatment are usually present at the same time in these DV situations. And you have to understand how these behaviors interact so you know what to look for. When we know what relationships look like and means, we can then take steps to get help for ourselves as well as better support others who are experiencing emotional mistreatment. What are the warning signs? Let's look at these warning signs here. Recognizing the signs of possessing and controlling behaviors. Now, Gabby was actually experiencing this in her relationship, but she kept trying. And this is no slight to may she rest in peace. Beautiful young lady. May she rest in heaven. And she kept overlooking. And also, when I saw this story, I said, well, that was the same crap I did. I was overlooking the things that this man was doing to me. And each DV situation I've been in, I've overlooked the little stuff. It's just like I held my head down and hid my head in the sand. I overlooked a lot of stuff. Recognize the signs of possessive and controlling behaviors. At the start of a new relationship, it's not always easy to tell if it will later become emotionally mistreatment. In fact, it says, many domestic violence people appear like ideal partners. Let's see, and it has some more information on it. It's called Too Good to Be True. We've all seen the movies and heard the songs about whirlwind romances that turn into lifelong soulmates. Hallmark Channel, yep. But unfortunately, Love is Respect, we often hear another tune where one being swept off your feet leaves you flat on your back. We know that people who behave emotionally, who emotionally mistreat others are often very charming, very nice, very manipulative, and initially at least can seem perfect. Like at first they seem like the ideal person. They're so into you. They love everything you do. You can't do any wrong for these people. They're always praising you. They're always lifting you up. But do we all understand now that there's no perfect person? There's no perfect person. No, ma'am, no, sir. There are no perfect people. So this is part 1 to this video. I don't want to make this too long. And you can always break it down into sections. Like you can always pause it and come back later to watch it. But I want to end this here. And I'm going to go to part 2 coming up. How to identify if they're too good to be true. Thanks for watching. Be safe.